All right, more protests against Trump in D.C. over the weekend. I'm afraid to report that the protesters are singing again. And yes, I'm going to make you listen to it. I have no choice. I'm compelled by forces beyond my comprehension to make you listen to this. I have to do it. I'm sorry. Here it is.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Trump is not a king. Trump is not a king. Trump is not a king. Never turning back. Never turning back. Stop the fascists now. Stop the fascists now.
All right.
Stop the fascists now.
Okay. This is, I don't know, we got about a minute into it, maybe longer. All right, so there's a lot going on here. First, you have the guy singing, of course, and how could you miss him? And, you know, he thinks he's good at this. That's what gets me. He actually thinks he's good. You can tell he's getting into it. He thinks he's crushing it. He thinks he's getting a record deal out of this. That's what he believes. Like, this guy, I guarantee you, has auditioned for American Idol, The Voice, America's Got Talent, never made it on any of them. And so this is his big moment. This is his debut. This is where he becomes a star, he thinks, in his own mind. And it's not his fault, really, because people have told him his whole life that he's a good singer. People have lied to him. They lied to him to be polite. They didn't have the heart to tell him that his singing voice sounds like a female goat in labor. They didn't want to tell him that. They didn't want to tell him that his singing voice is so bad that if he went down to perform for the immigrants in Gitmo right now, it would be a violation of the Geneva Convention. Nobody had the heart to say to him, listen, when you sing, it sounds like you're being stabbed. And also it makes me want to stab you. And it makes me want to be stabbed. So it's just a lot of stabbing. There's a lot of stabbing being evoked by your singing voice. I just want everyone to be stabbed in the whole room when I hear this. No one ever said, I'm not saying that to him. I'm not advocating violence against anybody, even if they have the worst singing voice known to man. I'm just saying that no one apparently ever said that to him. And this is what happens as a result. And meanwhile, you've got the woman next to him, I guess, trying to clap along to the song, but the only problem is that, you know, she has the rhythm of a hearing impaired toddler. I mean, she looks like a baby who's you ever see a baby that just learned how to clap and is really proud of himself? He just figured it out. And that's what she looks like. And then you have the sign language interpreter, and the guy singing thinks that the sign language interpreter is interpreting his song, and maybe she is, I don't know, but it could be a distress signal that she's sending out. Like, she's sending a signal out asking someone to come rescue her. That's the message that she's actually communicating with the sign language. So it's just a mess, the whole thing. And to think that the left used to do protest songs really well. You know, that was the one thing they were good at. But they can't do it anymore. And it's kind of amazing because Donald Trump has been in office for, 10 years, not in office, but he's been on the political scene for 10 years now, a decade. And in that entire time, nobody on the left has come up with a good anti-Trump song. And if anybody did, I wouldn't agree with it, but if it was a good song, I would at least admit, like, okay, that was a good song. And no one's done it, even though the left has all of the relevant musicians on their side. And they haven't been able to do it in 10 years. which is amazing. And it's not just anti-Trump. I mean, when's the last time somebody made a good song attacking the system, going after the man, etc.? It's been at least 20 years. If you go back to the Bush administration, you had some of the rock bands like System of a Down or whatever that would make songs protesting the Iraq War. You go back to the 90s, you had Rage Against the Machine. Killing in the Name of was about a song about police brutality, I think, or something. And obviously, you go all the way back to the 70s and 60s, you get all kinds of music about the Vietnam War and so on. And now there's just nothing. And the reason is obvious, that the left took control of the culture and became the man. So they no longer have any incentive to rage against the system that they control. Now, the power dynamics are changing. So maybe we'll see a resurgence of protest music, music attacking the man and all that. But I don't know, I'm not so sure, because the problem is that rock and roll is where a lot of that stuff comes from. But the rock and roll is dead. It's just gone. Because the rock bands packed it in or became shells of themselves once the left took over. And now they were shilling for the system, and that just killed rock and roll. And so now there's nobody around to make a good protest song, and we're left with this. It's pretty bad. Pretty grim. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.